And we're back. Alan, what'd you think of all the fan art?
That was so nice. I loved all the arts.
Oh, great. And that was It's the Arts. We're going to be doing It's the Arts every week, but we will be doing it in video format as opposed to the format that we usually do from our home base in Burbank, California. So now we are going to straight into the list. And this is the first time that we're doing the list in the original format for the show. For the quarantine show. We're so excited to bring you original format the list, and we're going to start off right now with PlayStation 2 games that came out in the launch window of the system that are role-playing games that I did not play, that I do not have a fundamental understanding of. Let's dive right in with Eternal Ring. Eternal Ring, of course, is a game by Egi Tech and published by Egi Tech, developed by, I assume, another group of people. I've never really looked at the back of the box, but I can tell you the front of the box is a guy sort of in a cowl and a cape, and he's got, what do you call it when you have like a tunnel around your neck? A sash? Turtleneck?
Sort
of a tunnel around the neck.
A scarf?
And he's looking at his hand, and he's got, and in the hand it's a sort of a green glow, and that's the eternal, and we assume that the green glow has something to do with the Eternal Ring. And so when one boots up the game, it is assumed that the man on the cover of the game will be in the game, that you'll start off looking at him or speaking to him, or maybe it's one of those mysterious openings that where the players and the people that you're playing as and the people that you're fighting against are the same person. Alan, what do you think of that?
What game did you add to the list?
It's called Eternal Ring, and it's a man, and he's got a ponytail.
It's the list, and
it's the list. And Eternal Ring is on the list. Eternal Ring was published in the United States by Egi Tech, but published in the European Union. And this is a fun fact here on EGI. European Union is, of course, a wonderful set of countries that have decided to sort of band together, form a unified currency. In better times, there are no border checks between the countries, so you have free range of travel. So you can, Alan, if you got off the boat if you got off the train in Paris, you could walk from Paris to the Baltic Sea.
But not now.
No, because now there's border checkpoint. Wonderful. Next up on the list is Evergrace. Evergrace is, of course, a game that I've only seen the cover of, and I think that is probably not the best way to judge a game, to understand a game, to try and understand a game, but it is, I can describe to you the cover of Evergrace, which is a man sitting on like a stone, on a big stone or a rock. What do you call a big stone?
A pebble.
Boulder, Colorado. And we have, of course, a man looking off. I think he's looking off into the distance. He's holding a sword, or maybe he's holding a spear, or maybe he's holding the Eternal Ring.
Robbie, how many games are on this list?
4. So we're halfway through the list. We are going to talk about Evergrace just for one more second, because I'm just remembering I do believe it is an RPG. I don't actually, the funny thing about is I started the list off saying that the games were RPGs, but I can only judge that by the names and the recollection I have of the covers. I can say that, well, if the man is sitting on the boulder, if he's sitting on the boulder with the sword or the spear, if he's thinking about if I'm thinking about him, I can assume that he's not in a first-person shooter. What are your thoughts?
I can't tell the difference between what you're saying and what the list is saying, and it's very different stuff. And I also don't really fully understand what this list is.
These are PlayStation 2 launch window games, Alan.
But you keep talking about a big bubble.
No. The boulder was the man that would, a fairly masculine seeming person sitting atop a boulder in the Evergrace. Maybe he is the Evergrace. Maybe that's his name.
Okay.
We're talking about names, and we're thinking about names here on the list on EGI Electronic Game Information. This just in, the name of the next game is Forever Kingdom.
And you didn't play it?
I did not play Forever Kingdom. It was in the launch window. There was a sort of a period there in my life where I had stopped playing video games, sort of in between the sort of like the petering out of the Dreamcast and the sort of third or fourth year of the PlayStation 2. And and here's some Egi Trivia. Because I got back into it because I played the Zone of the Enders, which is not on the list.
But why did you fall out of love with games?
There wasn't really a falling out. It was more of as a function of the time. I was working a lot. I was in school. I took 18 credits one semester, and that was a lot to take on. I was trying to get from one school to a better school, and it did work. But I think the sacrifice was that I missed out some on the late Dreamcast games, and I've tried to spend a lot of time piecing back that period of history back together.
I would love to hear a whole like if they sold audio cassette tapes where it was just you talking about your life and not talking about games for a bit. That I would love to listen to that.
Well, unfortunately, we're going to have to talk about Kingsfield: The Ancient Ring. And these wonderful Kingsfield games. Kingsfield, of course, is I do know this to be true, that it is a role-playing game, and this is a thing that I don't know to be true, but I'm just going to say it out loud because this is the list, and this is the reason why we do the list and why we put games on the list. I do believe that it is a first-person dungeon crawler, and that was a fairly unique thing for a console back in that time period. Before that, you only had really games like Eye of the Beholder on the Super Nintendo and Sega CD. Later on, you had, of course, Shadowgate on Nintendo 64, Shadowgate 64, big friend of the show, Shadowgate 64. And this was sort of the Kingsfield games were I think a little bit more obtuse.
Yeah, they were obtuse.
And that was the list. So thank you so much, the list. We'll be back next week with the list. I think that worked pretty well, Alan. I mean, we've had some technical issues this episode, but I think that went pretty well. What did you think of the show?
I thought it was one of the best episodes of Electronic Game Information to date, even including the good seasons.